Good evening. We call to order this regular meeting of the West Valley City Council. We note that we thought we had 6 council members here, but we have 5.
Steve actually left, he wasn't coming back.
Okay. Councilman Bueller has left and is excused, and Councilman Rushton is out of town and is excused, but we do have a quorum. We'll begin with an opening ceremony, and we turn to Councilman Nordfeld for that.
Thank you, Mayor. If everyone would please rise with me to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, no scout troops here, no elected officials, so we'll go right to the minutes of September 1st. To the council then for approval of the minutes.
Mayor, I move for approval of the September 1st minutes.
Second. We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes. Any discussion to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll place that for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of September 1st, 2015, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. The minutes are approved. We now come to our public comment period. And I believe we have a number of people who are here to speak. We note for you that the amount of time is a maximum of 5 minutes per person. It can be less, just depending upon your desire. And during that time, the time is yours to speak. We will not be interrupted by the council. We'll give you your say. Afterwards, if the council so desires, they can respond to those comments. So don't be surprised if you ask a question, we'll take that under advisement, but it's meant to respect your time so that you get your 5 minutes and we not take it up with any comments. So with that, we've had 4 people sign up to speak, and we'll just take those as they're here. Darren Blanchard, if you would come, you're first on the list. And generally for our record, although we have it printed here, if you would include it in our video and audio record, your name and address.
Okay. My name is Darren Blanchard. I live at 2809 South Brixham Way in West Valley City. Thank you for having us tonight and for having this meeting open to the public. Some of the people from the Highbury community are here tonight to address some of our concerns and things that we have for our community over there. Probably the big concern that we have tonight is the parking issue that has come up from the new apartment buildings that are next to the Neil Armstrong School. This apartment complex is very big, and as they have filled the apartments, the parking out on the street has also filled up. We have an HOA in our community that monitors and has rules in place for on-street parking, which is to say there is no on-street parking, no overnight parking on the street in our HOA community. And the new apartment tenants are out parking on the street. There is a section next to the road that is supposed to be a bike lane. That was one of the selling points of the Highbury community. We have these nice waterways, we have these nice walking paths, and we also have bike lanes on the roads there, and the cars are in the bike lane. My house is probably the closest to the apartments, and the cars that are now encroaching into across the street onto my street, onto the bridge there, which makes it very narrow when they are parked on both sides. So it's narrow to get through out of our neighborhood, and then the cars are also parked all the way around the intersection. And I tried to look up the state law for the distance you have to park from an intersection. and I couldn't find, I think it was 15 feet, but it's been a while since I took driver's ed. And I think that there's probably already some laws in place for the parking on the intersection there, which has been a big safety concern. It is very hard to see cars coming on that road when you're trying to leave our neighborhood. A lot of kids are walking to Neil Armstrong to school, and it is hard for cars to see kids crossing the street there. And I feel that it's a big safety concern. It also is a detraction to our community and to the beauty of it, where we don't have any on-street parking. Our HOA also includes things like not having visible garbage cans and things like that, and it makes it look for a really nice community. And what we'd like to do is have something in place that would prevent people from parking on the street there, as we thought that was part of our HOA agreement when we moved in. And also the safety concerns, I think, are a really big factor when kids are walking to school and we're unable to see coming out of the neighborhood there. We have some other people that are going to speak too. We had some other concerns about the continuing development of the Ivory homes, and I think Matthew Slade will talk more about that. But we'd like to voice our support for the plan that he will talk about in a little bit. I think, but the parking is one of the big issues that we've had a lot of concern with lately, that we've come together as neighbors to talk about and try to come and address this with you tonight. And one last thing, which I probably expect this isn't the right forum for, there is a sprinkler head that has been broken all summer. It has dumped gallons and gallons of water into the road all summer long, and I don't know who to talk to, and I always forget to look it up when I get home, but I see it just pouring out there. So I think I'll just give up the remainder of my time, but thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you. Next, we have Julie Pace.
My name is Julie Pace, and I live at 5296 West Gateshead Drive in West Valley City. And I'm here as part of the Highbury community to voice my concern about the same issue as the parking. I echo all of Darren's comments, and I support what he has said. We all are here trying to change the situation, and we were informed that that there is change hopefully coming, and we would like maybe some information that we can give back to our neighbors and the rest of the people in the community so that they know that change is coming soon and that the problem will hopefully be fixed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Nicole McCrae.
Hi there, I'm Nicole McCrae. I live at 5228 West Sandwell Drive, which is also part of the Highbury Ivory Homes community. I think I have a unique perspective on this because I am also a teacher at Neil Armstrong Academy. And not only am I affected on a personal level as far as entering and exiting on Brixham Way with all the parking we've had people parking on that bridge, and it makes it single lane traffic coming in and out of the Ivory Homes. And what I've noticed in the morning on my way to teach is that the vehicles are parked so close to the corners and even overlapping corners that the students who walk to the school are not being seen by the vehicles that are turning, that are heading east, turning south. So I worry about the students that they, at some point, we're going to have a pedestrian vehicle accident with a student. It's making it very difficult for our parents for pick up and drop off, as we have some parents pull to the curb to pick up students, and there's lines of vehicles permanently parked there from the apartments. So we're having difficulties with that as well. Our parents have been instructed to not turn a specific direction out of the main parking lot at Neil Armstrong Academy. They are to go down and turn and make a U-turn. They can no longer do that because there's a vehicle parked in the bike. There's always vehicles parked in the bike lanes. So our vehicles cannot make safe exits out and away from the school when picking up children. We really look forward as a community to having you come up with some ideas and a solution to fix this problem, as well as talk with, we've heard Ms. Lane came and spoke with us before the meeting and was talking about how we possibly could get in contact with the principal there and come up with some ideas on how not to negatively affect the school with whatever decisions are made, because we still have to keep in mind that we want our community, the parents of the school, to feel like they're welcome and that they can come in for an assembly or things like that. So I know that's a delicate balance on how we're going to have to figure that out. But I agree with Julie and Darren's statements as well, and we hope that we can come to a decision. Thank you so much for listening to us today.
Thank you. Next we have Matthew Slade.
Mayor, City Council, thanks for allowing us to come and speak to you today. My name is Matthew Slade. I live at 2774 South Red Ridge Way. My wife and I, this is our second home we've built in Highbury. We first built a townhome there back in 2008. Moved away for about a year and 10 months and built our home there and moved in June. And we've noticed a lot of changes since we moved out and then came back. One of those was obviously an apartment complex that was built in Highbury, which many community members felt was a huge surprise because they thought that area was designated for senior living, and it ended up being developed for other means, obviously. But I wanted to just endorse what has been said tonight. I'm also concerned about the parking. I have 3 children. One of my daughters is in 1st grade, and for the first couple of weeks I actually got to walk her to school because my wife just gave birth to our 3rd child, and I noticed that there's just a lot of congestion in the area when kids are making their way to school, and it looks like there's many possibilities for a lot of safety hazards. And so I endorse everything that has been said, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the future development of the community. I organized a couple weeks ago a community meeting where we all met to discuss Ivory Home's future development plans for the community. My understanding is that Chris was going to present that new plan to the city I think it was last week, but I don't know if he's done that yet. But I've got all the details of what Ivory Homes is going to be presenting next. But what I wanted to discuss with you are some of the things that came out from the community, what their biggest concerns are. As a community, I'd say our biggest concern is that, yes, we feel like the larger lot sizes will continue to improve the value in Highbury. We understand that the average lot size for future development needs to be at least 12,000 square feet. And I'm pleased to state that the new plan that Ivory Homes is going to be presenting meets that. It actually goes above 12,000 square feet on average on lot sizes. Did they get rid of the townhomes that they want to build? No. They still have townhomes in their plan. But we felt as a community it was more important because they want to develop about another 82 acres of these larger lot sizes and about 8 more acres of townhomes. We weren't too fond about the townhomes, but At the same time, we'd rather have the townhomes in place and, majority of the community be developed with larger lot sizes than have these parkside homes developed, which would be right across the street from where I'm at. On my street, there's 5 lots of homes. If these parkside homes were developed, there'd be 11 parkside homes on the other side of the street where we only have 5 lots. So you can imagine the congestion that would add. And the final thought on that is we hope that the city will somehow be able to meet Ivory Homes in the middle, obviously, on getting a plan done, because we do consider them a good home builder that meets all of the energy efficiency guidelines and that have beautiful homes that attract a lot of buyers. But do keep in mind that the 10,000 minimum lot size that the city is currently wanting has the minimum lot size. They're hoping
About 30 seconds left.
okay, they're hoping that the city will obviously come down to about 8,900. And the reason for that is it gives more variety to consumers on price options. And they're hoping that the city will also budge on the 3,000 square feet above the ground for 2 stories and 2,000 square feet above ground for ramblers, which as a community, to end, we're less concerned about the house size. We're just more concerned about the average lot size being at least 12,000 square feet. That's it.
Thank you. Now, those were the only 4 we had that were signed up to speak. I see one more individual came in. Don't know if you were hoping to speak or just come to listen.
No,
Okay.
She's from our community.
yes.
With that then, we will close the portion for our public comments and come back to the council, to our city manager for our agenda. For any comments?
Thanks, Mayor. I don't have any new or previous items to talk about tonight, but I will make a couple of comments to the public comment that was made. Specifically first on the parking. We have been made aware from a staff standpoint and have actually been looking for the last couple of 3 weeks at some ways to adjust the parking situation over there. I think we've got a plan that we are going to put in place that will involve a mixture of no parking around the intersections where the safety concerns seem to be the most prevalent, as well as some loading, unloading types of zones. It will be, the point of the plan is really to move the apartment folks back to their parking lots that they have and still allow for the school unloading and loading. Now, in order for this to be as effective as it possibly can, we are going to need, and I would encourage those that were here tonight to also continue to work with your school, because traffic and circulation within the parking lot there is part of the problem as well. And in fact, some of the instruction the school has given their folks as far as how to exit. The U-turn thing, for example, that's probably still not going to work, because even with the apartment folks gone, you're still going to have people parking there, dropping off their kids and picking up their kids. So some other sort of route plan or help or work by the administration there at the school would be helpful as well. The only other comment I was going to make was just a little bit of background history on the development, just so the folks that are here are aware. A lot of that stuff that is planned for development in the future that Mr. Gambroulis was speaking to in Ivory is already in place. So there's nothing that the city can do from a council standpoint to take away those rights from Ivory Homes or SLR, Suburban Land Reserve, who own those lands. For example, where the Parkside homes are planned, not where they are, where they're planned, and where the townhomes are planned, and where the current single-family residences are planned. However, yes, they could come back in and negotiate some sort of rezoning concept with the council overall for other sorts of things if both parties were willing to do that. That really is a Ivory sort of a first step that they would have to take. Council can't impose that on them. They would have to come back in to do that. Now, having said that, the council's just gone through a months-long process determining what they want from a standard and a standard of quality in building and both residential zoning standpoint in terms of lot sizes, what exists, what don't exist, what exists in the Highbury neighborhood, what exists all the way through the city, and they've tried to strike the best balance they can for making sure that all of the needs from all ends of the spectrum are met. You know, whether that is single-family townhomes or single-family large lots and large homes, that sort of thing. So that doesn't preclude the possibility that could change. I'm just saying, just for your information, that a lot of those development rights are already in place. So it's very possible that some of those may continue to be built the same way that they're planned. Now, just a little intel, I don't know if Chris gave you or not. I doubt the Parkside homes are going to be built in the way that they're configured anyway, just because Ivory has tried that from a market standpoint in other markets and hasn't done very well with those. So I know they want to change those anyway. As far as the rest of it goes, I would just say kind of hang on and hold on to your seats. So. And that's it, Mayor. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you very much. To the council then for any comments. I will add a couple of comments. I appreciate those who've come tonight and others who have emailed me. I've been able to respond to some of those. I left town, didn't get caught up on them. I have a couple still to respond to, but we appreciate those who bring these issues forward so we can look at them and try and find good solutions. And of course, I've always been an advocate for transportation. One of the issues we have to look at, and you know, as I studied and was given information on this, if we're building roads in new subdivisions where, you know, parking may occur on the street and we're not leaving room for cars to get by, that really creates an issue, and perhaps we need to rethink the width of streets and so forth near, especially high-density housing. So just some items that we probably ought to start talking about for the future to make sure similar issues don't arise, and especially around places like schools and that, where we know there will be traffic issues. With that then, seeing no further comments, I have to look both ways. So we will now go to the next item on our agenda. For those of you who are here, you're welcome to stay. But understand that some of these, well, all of these issues that are on our agenda, we have discussed in a previous council meeting and asked questions. And for the benefit of those who might be listening in. So if we don't spend a lot of time on them, especially if they're fairly routine, it's not because we're not interested, it's because we've already addressed them. So you get some perspective. With that, we go to our resolutions. We begin with Resolution 15-151. This particular resolution is to authorize the execution of an interlocal agreement for mutual aid in law enforcement matters between ourselves, other cities in the valley, and other agencies such as the Attorney General's Office, Salt Lake Airport Police, Granite School District, Department of Corrections, Department of Natural Resources, and so forth, even UTA and the Department of Public Safety. This is something that's been in place for a long time. There have been some changes, so this is being updated to reflect current issues. That is what is before us. This is where there are major issues of where there's a need to share equipment and or staff for major crimes, disturbance of the peace, riots, or emergency situations where there's a need for interaction back and forth between agencies. With that introduction, to the council then for comment or action.
Mayor, I move for approval of Resolution 15-151.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have it properly before us to approve. Do you have any further comments? Seeing none, then we will place that for a vote. All in favor of approving Resolution 15-151, authorizing the execution of interlocal agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. The resolution is approved. We now go to Resolution 15-152. This is to approve a contract modification. We have been working on a project along 4100 South at 3 different intersections utilizing federal funds, county and city funds, and under the direction of UDOT. But that has, with a recent change in the legislature, that now goes through the county, so we need to continue updating. Just, I believe in our last meeting, we updated the interlocal agreement with them, and this is to now modify a contract for some of those same items for additional right-of-way tasks not included in the original contract. Doesn't increase our financial commitment, but is necessary for us to complete the project. And so with that introduction, then to the council for comment or action.
I move for approval, resolution 15-152.
We have a motion, a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that's properly before us. Any further discussion? Seeing no further comments, we'll place it for a vote. All in favor of approving Resolution 15-152 to approve this change in the contract with Taylorsville and Avenue Consultants, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. The resolution is approved. We now have a consent agenda. These are truly very routine items. We have 2 items on there. One, 15-153 is just to terminate an easement that ran through some property there. In fact, originally we had an easement for some sewer lines that were never placed for the Stonebridge Golf Course. That was handled in a different way. We no longer need that. So with development taking place there, we're going to terminate that utility easement. 15-154, we're going to abandon an easement that was a temporary turnaround and access from a dead-end street that is now being built out, so that street will continue on. There's no reason for us to have the easement there for the turnaround in the Falcon Crest subdivision. So that's all those are. Then to the council for any action. Normally we do them as a group, but the council has the option to change that.
Mayor, move for approval of the 2 items on the consent agenda.
We have a motion, second.
Second.
We have a second. It's properly before us. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll place it for vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, resolutions 15-153 and 154, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. The consent agenda is approved. Excuse me. There's no need for a motion for an executive session tonight. That completes our business. If there's no further comments from the council, and seeing none, then we conclude our business with one final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight.